and to our people. And if you've been on the internet, if you've been following the Closing the Gap broadcast network, you've seen this interview that our brother did with brother James and sister Starla on Closing the Gap. And when I saw it, listen, I was in tears. I had to call my brother. I got the voicemail. I couldn't even finish my message because I was just so moved by what I saw and what I heard. And we have him today, and we want to talk more about, what he went through and more what he's seeing and what he experienced. So let's bring on our brother Abdul, Malik, Sayyid, Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you, my brother, for blessing us with the opportunity to have you on the show.
Man, it's my unique and distinct pleasure, Brother Willie, to be on your show. I have a testimony, hoping that Allah bless me to inspire your listening audience, man, to do everything we can to set up the great defense for our own body and health. So I'm
Beautiful.
honored, dear brother.
Yes,
And I
sir.
was I was moved by the message that you left me
Mm,
and touched by that message. And that lets me to know that Allah used me for a specific purpose. And it was
mm,
much bigger than even what I thought. Now I'm seeing all of the good that's coming out of me just opening up myself and, and having that moment where I could be vulnerable.
yes, sir. And that's, I mentioned this to you before, and that's one of the things that I love about you and admire about you is that you're not afraid to be vulnerable. You're not afraid to be, sometimes people just want to share the highlights of our life, but you even take us down to some of the valleys, but also coming up out of it. And hearing that has helped me, and I know that it has helped others. So I appreciate you for sharing that. And I don't know if people have had the opportunity to see the interview that you did on last Saturday with Brother James and Sister Starla. If they can, I know they'll hear more about your testimony. But before we get into what we're going to talk about it, but I want to ask some different questions, but still in a line about that. But can you briefly tell them about what you experienced in case some people are watching this and they haven't heard?
Yeah. Um, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, about maybe 2 months or so ago, Brother Willie, I'll tell it to you like I told it to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he called me and asked me, what happened?
Mm,
And he said, tell me everything, brother. And it was a Saturday morning. I had gotten up for prayer, preparing myself to go speak at an event of mothers who had lost their children to gang violence. But that morning, I went to the bathroom and had a movement, and I saw a little redness there, and I disregarded it. I'm like, I didn't even think it was blood. I thought maybe it was something that I ate. I went to this event and I came back, and I had the urge to go back to the bathroom. This time, enough came out to where I knew it was blood. But I disregarded it again. I didn't say anything to my wife and no one. I just said, well, I'll go to the doctor on Monday. So I looked in my paperwork to find out who my primary care doctor is. And in my mind, I said, well, I'll call him on Monday. It's Saturday. A few hours later, after taking my grandson out, I got back and it felt like now I'm bubbling and it felt like I had diarrhea. This time when I go to the bathroom, the blood comes out like Niagara Falls. Now I call my wife. And when my wife came in and she said, you got to go to emergency right now. And as I said on Closing the Gap, I said, no, I ain't going to no emergency. I said, I'll wait. I'll wait till Monday. And my wife was not having it. And as she and I was arguing about going to emergency, my daughter comes in and she sees the blood. Now I'm being double teamed by two female MGT. And they got on me so bad I had to go to the bathroom again and it just wouldn't stop bleeding. So my compromise was, okay, let's go to urgent care. I just had something about going to a hospital. We go to urgent care. And when I tell the woman what was happening, my diagnosis, and here's what was happening, she started making a phone call. And when she got off that phone, she said, "Sir, you could stop filling that paperwork out. You need to rush right over to emergency right now." So everything, what I was trying to avoid, I got to go anyway. And I'm at a hospital in Compton in the hood called Martin Luther King Medical Center. When my wife and I walked through the security, through a tent on the outside, we was a few yards from going into the emergency door. I grabbed my wife, Brother Willie, and I said to her, "I'm not going to make it." She was like, "What's wrong?" All I could remember saying was, "Allahu Akbar." When I regained consciousness, I was being wheeled into this room and my clothes was being cut off me and blood was everywhere. Now I'm fighting because I don't know who these people are and what's happening with me. And I'm Allahu Akbar and trying to keep them from restraining me. And I'm like, "Where's my wife?" And I could hear my wife. She walked up. She said, "Baby, calm down. It's okay." I said, "What happened?" She said, "You passed out. And not only did you pass out, your heart stopped. They had to resuscitate you." I said, "What?" And by that time, the doctor comes over and he said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You're a very lucky man." He said, you lost so much blood, sir. You had no oxygen going to your brain." He said, "You had two things going for you that probably got you through this." He said, "Number one, it happened to you at the hospital. If you would have passed out at home and an ambulance would have had to come to you," he said, you could have possibly had serious brain damage or gone into a cardiac arrest." He said, "Sir, for you to be 67 years old, you seem to be in great physical shape. Do you work out?" I said, "Yes, sir. 6 days a week." He said, "Well, your heart beat like that of a 35-year-old athlete, and it didn't take us long to resuscitate you. Those are the two things you had going for yourself." I said, "Oh, and Allah, God, sir." He said, "Well, I didn't want to impose religion or any deity because I didn't want to insult you. And once, and I lost so much blood, dear brother, I'm just going to cut it short so you can ask the question. But over the few days, I lost so much blood, my oxygen level was down so low. They was having trouble stopping the bleeding. And so the bleeding wouldn't stop. And I had to do a C scan. And when I went in to do the C scan, when after that, the doctors said to me that I had diverticulosis. That's what they believed, but they needed to have a colonoscopy to make sure. Or maybe the diverticulosis had erupted into diverticulitis. And they just wanted to go in and do some biopsies to make sure it wasn't cancer and or other things. And I'm like, wow. And so a few days later, I had 4 incidents where I passed out, twice at home and twice in the hospital because the bleeding wouldn't stop. But in the hospital, they didn't have to resuscitate me because they kept me from even going there. So once they did the colonoscopy, in closing the gap, people can get the full story. I didn't know if you wanted me because it takes an hour and a half to just get through that story.
Mm-hmm.
But brother, I tell you, the blessings, all of the signs that Master Father Muhammad gave me, and I really never feared. And my wife would tell you, my prayers was not just to Allah. I prayed to Master Father Muhammad. And I said that if this is it, I thanked him for the time that he allowed me to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, I don't wish to go. If you spare my life, Master Father Muhammad, I said, I promise you in the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and in the name of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I would work harder and smarter to help free our people. And I never worried after that. So once they saw that I had the diverticulosis and they did the colonoscopy, and it was that, but it was all over my colon. And when I came out of the CT scan, I heard this voice, a black man calling out, Brother Muhammad, is that you? And I'm like, who is that? And when he got close, it was a black doctor. He said, brother, what are you doing here? He said, I've been following you for 20, 25 years. And then he showed me a cup. And it was a cup of our fraternity emblem. He said, I'm your fraternity brother. Then he grabbed my chart. He said, you got diverticulosis? He said, I am the surgeon that do surgery on these types of illness. He said, where are they taking you? And he came back to the room and he looked at my charts. He said, I don't think yours is serious enough. You don't want to see me because to see me, I would have to cut out most of your colon. I don't think you are that bad, but you're bleeding and we need to get in there and stop the bleeding. Mind you, I had 12 blood transfusions. My cholesterol level was high. The doctor said to me, brother, you have hardly no iron. What you been operating on? Sure will. So not only did I have 12 blood transfusion, I had an iron transfusion where they had to pump iron in me. And then he asked me, Brother Muhammad, you 67. You been to the doctor before? I said, can I be honest? He said, yes. So I haven't been to a doctor in 45 years. He said, you never had a colonoscopy? I didn't at that time, Brother Willie. I said, what is that? And when he told me what it was, I remembered because right before I went in, you had one.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I believe it was around that time.
Yeah.
And he said, brother, I'm 55 and I've had 3. You should have had this at 40. We could have caught this. He said, but no problem. I'm going to get you to one of the top specialists in this country who happens to be a black doctor who also went to Morehouse. This particular doctor knew me when I was at Morris Brown. He was younger than me, but he pledged as a result and said that I inspired him back then. So anyway, after my wife, who and my daughter, who actually encouraged me, they actually saved my life. I got better in the hospital. And once they saw my oxygen level, all of my counts, everything was good. They let me out the morning of the 4th of July. But the doctor warned me. He said, now, brother, you're going to continue. You're going to still see some blood in your stool. Don't worry. That's normal because it's still coming. You bled so much, it's still releasing out of your colon. He said, but if you get dizzy or feel faint, that is not good. He said, that'll get you back here. I thanked him. And, I went home. And he was right. There was still blood in my stool. But the next day, Saturday, that night when my wife and I was retiring to go to bed, when I walked into my bedroom, the room started spinning. I said, "Oh Allah." I calling on Master Father Muhammad. I flopped down on the bed. And when I regained consciousness, I could hear my wife calling my name, saying, "Baby, come back to me. Come back to me." I could hear her voice like it was from a distance. And it's like I was fighting to get back to wherever she was. Man, every time I tell this story, I get worked up.
Listen, brother.
Oh, man,
I
brother.
know. And while you're at that point, let me add this question in. Because I remember when I heard that part, I was like, man, I got to call Brother Tony, but not Brother Tony, Brother Malik Sayyid. I
Yeah.
apologize. But, your wife literally became an instrument that Allah used to save your life. How has that moment changed the way you see her and in your overall marriage?
Oh, my God, brother. I mean, I'd already held her in the highest regard. But in truth, brother, I really understood why Allah said a woman is the second self of Allah. And we look at these superheroes on TV that don't make no sense when I'm living with one. And brother, her instinct, she went into action without panicking. And she's giving me CPR and pounding on my chest. And when I came to, brother, I was sweating defecation, blood everywhere. And when I came and regained consciousness, the first thing she said is, "Let's say Al-Fatiha." Because the Holy Quran is medicine. And so I'm sitting there trying to say Al-Fatiha with her, and I'm fading, and she's pumping me. Now, no, don't you go back to sleep. Don't you go out on me. Because I could hear the paramedics saying, "Do not let him go back out or fall asleep," something of that sort. And my son was also instructing her. And then she had me to count to 10 forward and backwards. And by that time, the paramedics arrived. And brother, when they got there and got me into the ambulance, the first thing the paramedic said, "Sir, your wife did a phenomenal job. She saved your life." And the tears just rolling. And my son in the ambulance, he's crying, I'm crying, thanking Master Father Muhammad, for using my wife to save my life. Thankful that she knew how to do CPR. Thankful that she even had it. Now listen at this. I asked the ambulance, the paramedics. I said, "Sir, how many people in our community have you all went to aid that if people around them would have just known procedures like CPR, stopping bleeding, would have been saved?" He said, "Sir, too many to count." See, he said most could have been saved by the people around them if the people around them would have just known just how to apply CPR.
Yeah, we got to get that. You in the interview that you did with brother, we're gonna pull it back up, that you did with brother James, sister Starla, on the Closing the Gap broadcast. One of the things that you shared, and you kind of touched on it earlier, was that your prayer when you were right at that moment, not knowing if you were going to return to Allah or stay alive. And in this book, Closing the Gap by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the minister talks about his words when he was at the doorsteps of death, right? And it was
Mm-hmm.
interesting as I listened to you, hearing what you were said and remembering what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did his example Or do you think his example prepared you to respond in that moment like that as well?
Absolutely. His
Wow.
example, along with my wife, saved my life
Mm,
and connected me to the two that's on the wheel.
mm,
I did it because he said that's what he did. So and remember, as minister, he said, brother, put your foot where I put mine. Go the way you see me go. And as a result of Allah taking him through a 14-hour surgery
mm,
because of prostate cancer, and remember, he bled out.
mm-hmm.
I knew then, and I didn't just say Allah. I
Calling
called on Master Father Muhammad, brother.
it.
And I felt so strong because I called on him because I believed. And it comforted me. And then I started getting all these signs that I was going to be all right. So yes, sir, brother. It was
Wow.
the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's prayer, his example, his way. And then, he said to me that the messenger said to him, that brother, if Allah cannot save me, that is a sign he cannot save you.
Mm.
All
And
of this is in my head, and then it got verified when I finally talked to the minister after coming out of the hospital.
mm, and let me ask you this. This is two questions. So looking back now, what do you think Allah was trying to show you about yourself through that health crisis that you could not see before?
Thank you for that question. I really, two things with that. Number one, you, all of us are microcosm of really what could be happening in our entire nation. Two things Allah, I believe, was trying to show me is number one, if you're going to be on the battlefield of fighting with the great Satan, you know, we got to make sure, brother, we are healthy. It was the minister's daughter when I went down. Listen to what Fatima said to me. And this helped me to see what Allah was doing because I was one of them spooky brothers.
Mm,
I felt I ain't need no doctor. I got Allah. I'm good. She said, brother, can I say something to you after she had gave me all the pleasantry and how they prayed for me? She said, brother, do you know that many in the nation who are dying didn't have to? She said, you all do not go to doctors, particularly the brothers. Then she said this, brother, it is, even if you don't care for yourself, it's not fair to your family that you go before time. It's not fair to the mosque, the many believers who are depending on your leadership. It's not fair to the community that you've made a great impact. As she was saying that, brother, the prayer was in my head that says, I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I do confess my faults. And what Allah was showing me is there was a level of myself that, well, how am I going to say this? We suffer from self-negate, Brother Willie. A lot of us can go out and help other people, but won't do the same thing for ourselves. I said to myself, do I really love myself?
mm,
Or am I hiding behind, I'm the black man? Am I hiding behind, I'm a Muslim, I'm with the minister, I'm the Asiatic black man, the maker? But have I really got to that level where I love me? And brother, I said, I'm committing treason on myself. Because to be honest, there are many times the minister would say to me, stop running, brother. You suffer from a little self-negate. I didn't see that. I thought I loved. So Allah showed me that I didn't love myself enough. Now look, here's Trump, big devil. Here's Trump, the lionest devil we've ever seen, in power. But what does he travel with? An entire medical team to make sure he's strong to keep doing devilish men. Here we are with God. And spooky, why haven't I gone to make sure I'm in fighting shape? Just because I was in the gym throwing up weight, brother, running 4 and 5 miles a day. I remember little signs that I was getting. And look, Sister Fatima said this to me. She said, brother, may I ask you what kind of car you drive? And I said, sister, I have a little SUV, Mercedes SUV. She said, how's it running? I was always running good. I just had a tune up and I caught what she was doing to me. I said, oh, she said, yeah, well, who makes Mercedes? I said, the Germans. She said, who created the body? I said, Allah. She said, so you're going to take better care of a car to move around in that's made by the white man, and you won't take better care of the body made by God. That's it. That did it for me, brother. That, and I thank Master Father Muhammad, because that was him talking through her to me.
And it's a blessing that you were able to see this. Another, that interview is so profound. And when this airs, you would already appeared on this show again the day before. But you said something else that was profound in that interview that I want to ask you. You spoke about how you intentionally chose to go to a Black-run hospital, even though some question the quality of the care there, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think this is a picture of the hospital here.
Yes,
So,
sir.
why was that decision so important to you? And what did you learn about trusting our own from that choice?
Wow. Man, your question got me teared up.
Praise.
Wow. Um, I've done so much work in and around LA, and I've fallen so deeply in love with my people. And it's two reasons, because that question that you asked was asked of me by the top administrators at the hospital before they let me out the last time. Brother Willie, we are attacked by the Jewish ADL, and I'm slated as one of the top 10 anti-Semites in the Nation of Islam. So number one, when I went to that hospital, it was because I said, I told my wife, if anything ever happened to me, I'd rather trust my life into the hands of my own people than to take me into the hands of my enemy that I've been giving them the business about how they treat our people. Plus, many of the hospitals in LA the best ones are in the Jewish area, and they're Jewish ran. Kaiser, Cedar Sinai. This is where most of your Black affluent people go. I didn't trust that, brother. I wanted to be into the hands of my own people. So, and I said that maybe they would know who I am. And when they found out who I was or is, they would take care of me. And that's what happened, brother. Those Black nurses, when the MGT and the FOI showed up at the hospital, and the way they beautifully worked with the administrators and put that hospital on lockdown, they was like, oh, most people out here know me by Minister Tony Muhammad. They said, that's Minister Tony Muhammad. Man, them nurses went into action, brother. They had put me in this room with this decrepit Caucasian man. Room was right, wasn't too good of a room. And the black nurses came in and they start arguing with the floor nurse who headed up that floor. Like, do you know who this is? And you got him in this room. So I called the black nurses and I said, calm down. I said, it's okay, calm down. And then the black, the sisters, she said, we got this, Mr. Muhammad, don't you worry. We got it. 15 minutes later, brother, 3 black nurses came in and unlocked the wheels on my bed, rushed me out, down the hall, up this, into another room, brother. Beautiful room. And she said, you know why we brought you here? Because this is where we would bring the mayor. This is where we would bring the governor. And we wanted to make sure that your family and your community could come in and out as they please.
Man.
Me and my wife just crying, brother. That what I thought in my heart was real. We don't trust each other, man. I trusted my life into the hands of my people. And when that top administrator asked me the same question you asked, before I answered her question, I said, so you gonna tell me you all are not a good hospital? You know what that woman told me? She said, we ranked number 19. We're in the top 19 emergency hospitals. She said, but we know our people don't like coming to us. Mm-hmm. And we haven't had one of your caliber in a long time, sir. We really just wanted to say thank you for choosing our hospital.
Wow. Man, that every time listening, it's just so much in your testimony. Because even like you started off talking about how you've fallen in love with our people. And when you talked about, like you told your wife, if something happened to you, you want to go to, is to me, is even more evidence that you love our people and you trust our people. Because people can say it when not much is at stake.
Right.
But when your life is at stake and you say that, that gets to the that's a part of the core being of what somebody is made up of. And I want to go to this question because
before you go,
yeah, go ahead.
The minister said to me, brother, see, he said, you was at the right hospital. You were where Allah wanted you to be.
Mm-hmm. And it's proof.
He verified it for me. You can listen to all of this. They have to go to the podcast to hear all the signs. So go ahead.
But we're gonna come back to, because I have a question about that too. But you talked about in the podcast words that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shared about you. And I've talked to you other times and heard the minister say things about you publicly as well, even at the dinner table, right? And he shared powerful words about you and about what Allah sees in you. And many of us, when we hear such words by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, sometimes that feeling of not being worthy, we deflect. Like he's talking to us, but we hear it, but we don't hear it. And even the minister said he did that with the Mozambique Elijah Muhammad, right?
Yes.
So the minister said he did that with the Mozambique Elijah Muhammad. My question to you is, how do you manage hearing what the minister says about you without letting those feelings of not being good enough block you from receiving what Allah is showing him about you?
To be honest, brother, this is the first time I didn't block it.
Whew. Wow.
Yeah. All the other times I didn't see it because I know my shortcomings and I lean too much on that. I know I ain't what Allah want me to be. I thank you, brother minister. You the Messiah. You're supposed to say that about us. And he's a beautiful man. And I knew the potential was there, but I know I'm slipping. I knew I could be that. Well, I believed I could be everything he said. It's not until now that I know I can be everything he said. Because Master Fard Muhammad saved my life, and this is the first time I felt worthy. Other times I didn't feel worthy. I feel I've earned his favor because I was ready. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't scared to allow him to take my life if that was his desire. But I desired to stay here and fight. And that prayer was answered.
Mm.
And, brother, when they couldn't stop the bleeding, the night before I went into the colonoscopy, I wanted so desperately to speak to the minister. I woke up between 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning and tears running down my face, and I didn't know why, because I didn't remember a dream. But I mean, tears was just running, and I couldn't stop crying. And I had this desire to speak to the minister, and then his voice came into my head from the table talks at dinner. When he told us once, if you ever needed to speak to me or had a desire to talk to me and you can't reach me, meditate on me or listen to a lecture.
Mm.
Then when he finished his album in LA, I happened to be in the studio with him. And I remember him saying, this music is going to comfort the believers when I'm gone.
Mm.
So at that instance, I grabbed my phone and put on my earphones and turned to Final Call Radio. And when I turned it on, the minister's violin concerto, Bach Double, was playing. It's 6 minutes long. And brother, as soon as I put it in, I got very hot and my body started shaking and I couldn't stop. I trying to reach the emergency button and I couldn't do it. And so I just start calming down, and then I start calling and using the refuge prayer while I'm listening to the minister's song. And as I'm listening, I heard him as he was telling those of us in the room that when the violin, which is a string instrument, is played from a man or a woman with big love for their people, the vibration of that instrument can alter your organs or be a healing for your organs. By the time that song went off, I had stopped shaking. And when they took me in to do the colonoscopy, the doctor said, we don't know what happened, but the bleeding stopped. I said, oh, wow. Could that have been Master Fard Muhammad, answering? They clamped it and made sure that, it didn't bleed. But brother, I came out of that experience not believing anymore. I came out of that experience knowing that Master Fard Muhammad is Allah and he favors me and I'm all right. And I got to stop running. And I got to live up to these attributes that I've been given. That's who I am.
Mm.
And that's who I want to be now.
Mm. Beautiful, man. What would you say to others who also struggle with accepting the good Allah and his servant sees in them?
Well, I would say to them, number one, if we believe he's who he is, and he is, he don't speak idle words. Whatever he say, it's true, that backs him. See? And that's a part of the maturing we gotta do. See? If he says he sees something, who caused him to see it? Remember, brother, Willie, we'd be at the table and he'd say to us, put your questions in your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm finished talking, let me know if I did not answer your question. He said, not that I can tune in as such to any of you, but Allah can. And he will give me what to say to you. I don't know a time I went to the table where he didn't answer my question and I didn't have to raise my hand.
Mm.
So I had to learn that this man is the Messiah and come to know that he is who he is. And he don't play with words. He ain't no Negro like us.
Especially when you just made me think about how when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, just when he told you the name, he gave everybody else names, but he said, I'm going to ask Allah, right? I'm paraphrasing. Then I think you said, day or so past, you all are sitting down, the minister says, Allah just gave me your name. You know what I'm saying? And you're
Yeah.
seeing this, and it's like there are times when the minister he moves and then he says no Allah, and I think that's just
Yeah,
powerful, man.
no.
Like
Yeah, he gave several ministers their name after Nipsey Hussle was murdered, and the
mm-hmm,
minister came to do his eulogy. And he was so moved by what we did in LA to keep things from going crazy.
mm-hmm,
He named all of the ministers and he looked at me. He said, brother, I can't give you a name. Allah is going to have to give me a name for you.
mm-hmm,
2 days later, we're listening to his music with some music moguls in Los Angeles. We're at his dinner table and the music was playing and he hit the table and stopped and he wouldn't look up for a minute. And he looked up, he said, He said, brother, Allah just dropped your name in my head. And that's when I got my name. And he
and that
said,
wow.
you are Abdul Malik, not so much Malik the king, although
Mm-hmm,
you're that. He said, but
mm-hmm,
no, Malik in the prayer, Maliki Yomidin, one who uses the law of recompense to settle differences. You've been doing that all your life, brother. That's who you are. You settle differences. And then he
mm-hmm,
said, you're also to wear the name Sayyid. And then he said, you look that up. I looked it up and it scared the crap out of me. He said, you like that name? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, what does it mean? And I gave him the second definition. I said, well, Brother Minister, it says, one in whom the people trust. He said, well, why are you giving me the weak meaning first? He said, it means Lord, one who has been given authority over a territory, brother, by God. He said, you'll be all right.
that's powerful, man. It's as I would imagine, as you look through your life, even through all of this, Allah's hand is in it.
All day.
And the question going back, when you reflect on all of those signs you received in the hospital, one of the nurse's name was Grace. What else?
Grace, we had a nurse. The first nurse, her name was Grace.
Grace. And so I'll just ask you could go through. So what do they mean to you now that some time has passed?
Oh my God, those names, the
Yeah,
nurse.
when you look back at it and you realize, like, man, Allah was allowing the same way with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the same experience, like what when you look back at it.
Yeah, well, see, when that that nurse, her name was Geraldine Grace. She was Asian.
Mm,
She came up to me after I'm being prepped for this little surgery called colonoscopy, this little procedure.
hmm
We had just got off of a Zoom prayer with the entire region of believers. That prayer was so powerful, brother. Maybe 2 to 3 minutes after, she appears. And she said these words, bro, I was sent to make sure that you are comfortable and know the procedure that you're about to go through, sir. My name is Geraldine Grace. I like screamed, oh Allah. I kind of scared her. She said, you okay? I said, yeah. Your name let me know I'm going to be all right. And she said, well, I'm so happy that you're optimistic. And after the surgery, when I came to, she said, sir, you were right. We found it. We clamped it, blah, blah. They sent me back downstairs to the room with my wife. A Latino sister walks in the room, writing her name on the board. She said, I'm your nurse for the day. My name is Angel. I had just told my wife about this nurse. I said, oh, man, Allah, Master Muhammad, you showing out. 45 minutes later, a Latino brother nurse walks in to draw blood, and his name is Gabriel.
You can't make this, brother.
Bruh.
That's not no accident, man.
And he said he suffered from the same thing I have.
Wow.
Man, me and my wife is crying and laughing. We just like, oh Allah. I mean, it can't get no better. Then, of course, I go home, but when I come back, the second time, I'm a little bit worried. So I'm in the hospital worrying because I'm back and I'm passed out, bled out. This beautiful sister, tall black woman, walk in the room as I'm beginning to have a little doubt. She said, and she was so spiritedly happy. And she said, Mr. Muhammad, I'm your nurse for the night. My name is Hope.
Grace, Angel, Gabriel, and Hope, huh?
And Hope. Brother, I was blown away. The next day, the doctor who kept coming in and out looking after me, I didn't know if he was Arab or a Jew. So my wife worked up the nerve to ask him. And she said, what is your name? What did he say? Allah. He said, my name is Allah Hajjal. Bruh. He said, Allah Hajjal, I'm from Syria. We all said, Allahu Akbar. And now he even happy. And he's telling me about his experience. Yes, I've had Jewish doctors who was try to discourage most Arabs from becoming doctors, blah, blah, blah. But he was telling me, he said, sir, I want you to know you are loved in the Arab world. I'm like, me? He said, yeah, you are loved all through the Arab world. My people love. He said, I was just listening to your interview. And I said, mine? He said, yeah. I said, talking about one with Nick Cannon? He said, no, 60 Minutes. I said, oh, bro, that's not me. I said, that's my teacher. That's Minister Farrakhan. He was arguing with me. No, that's you. I said, sir. Me and my wife said, no, brother, that's Minister Farrakhan. He said, well, you look like him. You act like him.
Confirmation.
I said, well, I appreciate that, brother.
Brother.
And he thanked me, man. And he was like, you've been a great patient. Your people have been great, blah, blah. And my wife, we looked up him, we Googled his name, and that was the basis of my experience, brother. Those are the signs that Allah. And when I told this to the minister, he said, and as I'm telling him, I could hear him thanking Master Fard Muhammad. Then he said, now, brother, can I tell you what Allah gave me to tell you? I said, yes, sir. He started off with, he said, not only is the devil and the enemy watching us, but Allah and his angels are watching over us.
Mm-hmm.
He said, the angels, they are in everywhere there's a mosque or study groups, the angels are there. Looking over the believers.
This is proof, brother.
He said, he wanted me to tell you he approves of you. I lost it, brother, me and my wife. I'm like, because I had for the first time started believing it.
Man. And this is the not the funny thing about life, but it's the interesting thing. Like, we talk about Joseph, right? But if we take away all of what Joseph went through, we don't have the Joseph that we read about in the Holy Quran. Talk about even with the minister. So you, as trying as this situation was, this health challenge was, but look at what it came out to get to that, to come to you, that Allah approves of you, and maybe minus of absent that, you may still be struggling with that aspect of yourself that Allah is trying to get you. No, this is you. It's just I'm just a thought that come to
No,
my
no,
mind, man.
brother. No. That's real, It's like we've been practicing Islam. I remember as an athlete, and I'm trying out for the team. And it's 8, 9 of us trying out. And when I saw my name on the board before the game as the starting cornerback, that's when I started believing in my abilities. So all of these things, brother, Willie, I've gone through. This one was so detrimental, and I came through it. Allah brought me through it. I know he approves of me
That's a
now.
fact,
I
man.
know he's God. And
That's a
I
fact.
know I can be and live up to the attributes of my name.
Hmm.
And I know I'm gonna be a great help to the minister. I ain't trying to drop for no position. I don't care about how the vicinity or how close I am to him. I just want to be in that number.
That's a Yeah, that's the spirit. And
When
here's
the
the
saints
question.
come marching in, hell, I'll bring up
Ah!
the rear.
But look, and that is the spirit. That is the mindset. You know, what message, what message do you want every FOI MGT to who hear your story, especially those who feel fine and believe that that's enough? What message do you want them to take away from your story, and what do you want to tell them or us?
Couple of things. The minister said, every believer, brother, is going to have to get off the rail of belief. Every believer is going to have to come to know that Master Father Muhammad is God. He said, death surrounds us, and those presidents that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he told me what the presidents was doing all the way from Reagan all the way up to Trump. All of them went to war with Muslim countries.
Mm,
But the biggest showdown is going to be between the Nation of Islam and the American government and the
mm,
satanic Jews.
mm.
So here's the takeaway that I want to say to everybody. We were given revelation of teachings. We are the seed of Abraham that God promised Abraham he was going to come. Our nation is being headed by Master Fard Muhammad, and we're about to go to war. See, look at Healthsec, whatever this Secretary of War, but check him out now. He just called all his generals in.
Yeah,
What was he concerned with? Their health?
yeah, help. That's true.
You're fat? You
That's
got to be
true.
in shape?
That's
You got to be
true.
ready to fight? Who they getting ready to have a showdown with?
Mm,
Then he said, we're going to have to fight in America. Against
mm,
who?
mm,
We got to go to the inner cities of America. Well, who the vanguards of the inner cities of America? The Nation of Islam.
mm,
And when
mm.
you join the devil's military, don't he make sure you in good health to fight? We can say Allahu Akbar all day, but take your butt to a doctor. Know your blood work. After I came out of this experience, my dear brother, I went to the mosque to tell the believers the good news that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave me. And I think it was 4 believers had to be rushed to the hospital. One blood pressure was so high, he was about to have a stroke.
Mm.
But you wouldn't tell. He muscled up, he stand post, but he passed out. So almost every Sunday since I've been out, somebody in LA and our ranks is being rushed to the hospital because we don't go to doctors. I
Why do
don't
you
I don't
why do you
trust
think?
them. Like the minister say, trust in Allah, brother,
Mm,
and then search out for a good doctor. But don't not go. Know your blood work. Brother, I know the engine in my car better than I know my lungs, my
mm,
heart, my spleen, my kidneys. Now, brother, I know everything about my blood. Your blood talks to you.
That's right, brother.
You could sit there and think you in shape. We about to fight and you pass out.
That's right, brother.
Because when them tanks show up in front of the mosque, when them tanks is rolling down the streets, and you really got to show there is no God but Allah. See? And your blood pressure go up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, brother, I'm saying all of us before we go into this spiritual, mental, and physical war, please, brothers, go to the doctor. Know your blood work. Know where your cholesterol level is. Know where your iron level is. See? Get a biopsy. Make sure ain't no cancer, because how can you fight for Islam and you won't fight for your body? See? That's the Islam I'm fighting for so that I can surely win.
Mm.
Because if I can win and fight off the ills of this body, oh, Satan ain't got a chance.
Mm. Could you mention again? I don't know if you, I know you said it. What Sister Fatima told you about how there are many believers who died but their deaths could have been prevented.
Yeah, she said many in the nation who are dying didn't have to.
Mm.
It could have been prevented if we go, particularly the brothers.
Mm.
I get it, man. I was the same way. This fear of doctors, I ain't going. And then by the time we go, we messed up.
Where do you think that comes from, though? That fear of
Again,
doctors.
well, brother, actually, it's over a projected period of time on how this enemy have treated us. You have the Tuskegee experience. So many medical experiments and ways that this enemy has been trying to kill us. It's too many to even mention.
Mm.
And it's like slavery. Anytime pain has been inflicted on you over a period of time, it develops a cell.
Mm.
So we come out distrusting something when we was born and not even knowing why, because the pain of our ancestors is still in us. Hell, we ain't too trusting on leaders. Look at how we fight, how the minister think about us. Because the white man told us for 400 years, we ain't nothing, you ain't never gonna be nothing. That cell and that thought, it's still there, and it has to be murdered. Why does Muhammad and any Muslim murder the devil? See? And we gotta murder that in us and trust in Allah. Because look, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad went to doctors. Minister Farrakhan went to doctors, but he prayed to Allah first. And look, he said this to me. He said, brother, when I find out a believer is ill, I pray to Master Father Muhammad that everyone around that believer who comes in contact with that believer, he used them as his angels of care. He's already prayed it for us. See, he's already done it for us. This is where the Christians get, Jesus did it all for us. Yeah, no, he's prayed that any doctor we go to, that Allah use them as his angels of care. Well, if you don't believe in yourself and you believe in him, that should be sufficient.
Mm. Man, we're coming up on this hour, and I want to close on this last question. Thank you. And I know your wife is watching. If she can hear, listen, extreme gratitude for her. Man, I was touched. We sent this out to every believer in our mosque. I'm like, yo, you all have to watch it. I talked to Brother Student Minister Gerald from Louisville today. I sent it to him. I said, man, you have to watch this interview. And I'm telling everybody, you have to watch it. So, as I get ready on this last question, bring this up. You've always been known as a worker in the cause of Islam, right? So, but after this trial, how do you plan to widen your responsibility as a student minister?
Thank you. Number one, brother, we got to get out with what we see happening. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has already laid it out. The last time he spoke to us on what Allah, the great Mahdi and the great Messiah has to say about what's going on. And over time, he told us that one day you will see the military in the cities of America and tanks rolling down the streets. Brother, we got to get out in front of that. We got to be the Pied Pipers and go warn the streets. And I believe that Allah is going to use Trump to help whoop our people into consciousness to know that everything the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam has been telling you, I believe Trump is going to help be the #1 recruiter of people running to the nation. Because we're the only ones saying that we will never be able to get along with them. So I have a schedule to where I'm going on tour. And my goal in the next year is to talk to all 1,500 sets, gangs in the Southern California area. Whether it's under a tree, in a park, in a gym, next to a garbage can, on the block. Not to ask them to join nothing, but to warn them and to give them what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been giving us, and to ask them to consider coming home and helping us to unite our people, so when them tanks and the military come, they'll be coming for nothing. They'll have nothing to come to because we have united. And remember, he said, when we unite, brother, it ain't nothing that enemy will be able to do to us, because ain't nothing we doing to each other. So that's the spirit that I have. See, it's to be one of those disciples in the book of Acts. Because it wasn't until Jesus ascended, when them disciples, brother, went into power, they started believing. They started knowing who they were, because they didn't have the crutch of Jesus to lean on. See, they had to eat the meals he had been teaching and allow it to become a part of them. Because what does the Surgeon General say? You are what you eat. So we got to eat the lessons. We got to eat the teachings again. See? And we got to look at what we have and study it and beg Allah, bless me to become this teaching. See? And that's my spirit, brother. You know, and everywhere I go, that's what I'm doing. I'm warning. So I'm setting up a tour, not just in the region, but all over the country. I want to go to Memphis. See, inshallah, I'm coming to your city.
Yeah, you see, they just talking about we in this last week we just experienced an uptick in murders, man, and right at the time where the governor sent a letter to, you know, they're seizing this as a way to say, hey, we need these National Guards. And there was a shooting in the French Quarter of New Orleans. Oftentimes when shootings like that happen, it's actually people who are from outside of the city who come to the city to participate in the festivities, and they do that because most people in the city know that area is highly surveillance. You don't go down there and try to do stuff. And it's
And
just
remember, brother, they got masks now, body skin masks.
Oh, for sure.
Where Trump, or once he gives the signal, these people can put on a mask. They can get a mask that look like you.
Yeah, and go do
Put
their
it on a
dirt,
white
man.
man. He drives up, starts shooting. See? And using that as a precursor. This is why we have to unite the brothers. Brothers, y'all are being used now. We have to teach them how to investigate. I used to say that to the Bloods and Crips. I said, brother, I'm from Georgia. I could come in any one of y'all community and shoot and leave. Your instinct is going to take you to who you think your enemy is. You go kill them, and they didn't
Not
even
even
do nothing.
investigate. That's true.
Because you're not wise enough to say, and really, brother, they don't think that they are an enemy to the mindset of white supremacy, because the devil has kept them ignorant. But let me tell you, when they start hearing now who they are, it's not taking them long to wake up. This is the Joshua generation, dear brother. And so we got to come out of the mosque into the streets to warn them. And that's what Allah has put on my heart to do, and I believe that's why He spared my life, because that's something I'm good at. And I'm going to do and carry out my attribute by His permission.
Man, you've always had that spirit, but now is you've been given that, like what's the movie they made about 8 of them when they be driving in the cars all fast. I can't think of the movie, but
Fast
they're
and Furious.
Fast and Furious, but they already have the pedal to the metal, and the car's already going to over 100 miles per hour,
Right.
but then they hit that nitrogen and they take it to an extra. And that's what I'm getting from you. Like, you were already on it, and now with this experience, with that further confirmation and knowing, you hit that nitrogen, brother. So thank you, man. Thank your family. Thank the believers, and I'll be giving you a call, man. What Just thank you, brother Malik. Thank you.
No, thank you, Chief, for the work that you've been doing on
All
behalf of the
praises
Honorable
unto
Minister
Allah.
Louis Farrakhan. And don't think, you're in that number too.
Mhm.
So nothing would please him more than to see his class of ministers working together to save our people. Thank you
Definitely.
for the show. May Allah continue to bless you to reach hundreds through your show, brother, because all of these seeds one day is going to bear the fruit Master Fard Muhammad wants to see. Thank
And I
you.
believe that. Thank you. May Allah continue to bless you and your family and the believers and give them the greetings.
I shall do the same for me.
Assalamu
Assalamu alaikum.
alaikum. Alaikum salam.